my sister right off of 75. Like exit 34. We like to film these mounds. I noticed this mound the other day when I was coming this way, and I vowed to myself next time I come this way, I'm gonna get this video of my sister, because we like to observe those ancient Indian trails and Indian mounds, because we are the Native Americans, the indigenous Americans. Okay, there it is. You know, and they try to pass it off like another one. They got like by Romulus, they like to say, oh, that's a garbage mound and this and that, but what was it before that is what I like to tell people, you know. It's an ancient mound. Before these highways and freeways were here. It's an ancient mound. You see that trail? Did you see that trail? It's an ancient mound.
sort existed near the site, and later investigations revealed the quarry on a hill several miles distant and on the farther side of a large river. To have cut and quarried these stones, even though in the rough they were natural cleavages of basalt, to have transported them overland for miles, alright, you guys hear what's going on here? To have ferried them across the stream seemed an almost superhuman feat. To accomplish the same results with modern devices and equipment would be no small undertaking and would require months of labor. Yet the prehistoric people who cut and dragged the huge columns to this long buried place of worship must have been limited to hand labors, to ropes, and possibly rollers, to the crudest of tools, even though thousands toiled and labored. Years, decades, perhaps centuries must have been required to transport the hundreds of monoliths, often weighing many tons, from the distant quarry to the temple. One marvels at the sublime faith, the sincerity, the belief in their deities that led these ancient people to this task and that kept them at it for months after months, year after year, until their temple was completed.
This is Canada. We all know that Canadians like to pretend they're further north than Americans are, but they're really not, and I'm going to prove it to you. This is the 49th parallel, the longest border between two countries anywhere in the world, and the one that's most often thought of as being the dividing line between Canada and America. It's true that most Americans do in fact live south of this line, but so do most Canadians. In fact, roughly 70% of all Canadians live south of the 49th in this land shaded red, but we can go even lower. A full 50% of all Canadians live south of this line in this relatively tiny area shaded red. This means that most Canadians live further south than pretty much the entire US states of Washington, Montana, North Dakota, and obviously Alaska too. But I'm not done embarrassing Canada just yet. This is the southernmost point of Canada on Middle Island in Lake Erie. Zooming out to view more of the North American continent, would it surprise you if I told you that there are, in fact, more Americans who live north of this island than Canadians? Well, it shouldn't, because there are, and this is how. Here's the line of latitude drawn precisely over Middle Island's southernmost location. Clearly, all of Canada exists above this line, but a surprising amount of the United States does as well, including this tiny sliver of California. If you're from California, you can legitimately claim that some of your state goes further north than Canada's southernmost point does. With the line this far south, though, a lot of America's largest urban areas exist above Canada's southernmost point, like the entirety of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Alaska, and most of Wyoming, Michigan, New York State, and Massachusetts. Added up together, this means that more Americans live north of Canada's southernmost point than Canadians do.